Hello friends, this is MUKESH SAHAY. I am your English medium faculty for GS History segment mains, Eduteria. Friends, today I am going to explain you in details about the syllabus and what is the requisite things for writing the mains answer exclusively in the history segment. Friends, as you know that history plays quite a vital role in BPSC mains exam. Dear friends, almost 110 plus marks are allotted to history, and if you look at the trend, generally you have to write 4 to 5 questions out of 8 questions. Dear friends, if you look at past 10 years trend, you will find that most of the questions are being repeated. But even then, sometimes you find that out of the box questions are also coming in. So initially, what the main enigmatic puzzle is that how to measure up the syllabus. So today I am going to tell you what will be our modus operandi for 4-week syllabi of history segment BPSC mains. Dear friends, if you look at the overall scenario, actually the entire syllabus is segmented into 2 parts. The first one is related to art and culture, and the second one is exclusively related to the freedom struggle of India. Dear friends, if you look at the art and culture segment, you might have seen that the questions related to Mauryan art are quite significant. Mostly they asked about the features of the Mauryan art. As you know that in Mauryan art, there are the royal palaces, and especially as you know that if you look at the Mauryan art, mostly it is attributed to the Ashokan regime. So be it the stupas, be it the pillars with inscription, without inscriptions, the royal palace, right? The sculpture, the pottery, the coins, the monuments, these are all the part of the Mauryan art. Generally they ask. But they might ask you, there is a general question based on trend. But sometimes they might ask you that, okay, you know the trend. Could you please explain that out of this trend, which scholar, prominent scholar, what are their discourse? What is the point of view by Upinder Singh, Romila Thapar, and different scholars of the time, right? What they are, having the point of view on this Mauryan art. Like, okay, generally people discuss about trend, but they might ask you the comparative visions, comparative aspects, which is not mentioned here. Yeah. As you know that largely it is influenced by Buddhism, whatever it is, it may be the cave of Barabar or whatever it is belonging to the Mauryan period, it is largely influenced by the Buddhism. But now the question comes in place, what should be the modus operandi of writing? Whether many people ask me, sir, how to write the mains answer? Because from prelims to mains, it's a kind of transition, major transition, because just you crammed something and you cracked the prelims. But then what is the mains and what the examiners are looking for from the aspirants? That is the moot question we need to answer. Dear friends, actually there are 2 types of presenting your answer. One is known as the skeletal answer. In that answer, you simply, vomit whatever facts you have and whatever facts you know. But then that can only bring you 30 to 40% of marks. that cannot fetch you the better marks, because examiners are always the academicians, and especially in history, they don't like this kind of skeletal answer. But you might have heard that many people, those who qualify, they tell you to write a skeletal, because many a times 40% is the cutoff itself. But that cannot be the benchmark of judging the answer. Dear friends, you need to understand what exactly is the examiner point of view, how they assess your questions. First and foremost thing, what they look at from the the first view. First of all, they look at whether the answer is compact or not. That is the first thing they will look at. Now, what is the second aspect they look at? What is the proper proportion of answer, like preface, body, and conclusion? Preface and body should not be, out of the portion. There should be a balance between, and body should be always be the larger than preface and the conclusion segment. So that should be. Secondly, many people, what they do, the biggest mistake what they do, in the preface, they conclude. In the conclusion, they write something which should be there in the, fall in the preface. Actually, we do not know any college where such we learn the kind of answer writing, and this is the reason behind people making mistake, blunders in this kind of exams. Actually, always remember, when you are writing preface, it should be opening line, it should not be the closed line, right? So if you close the line, that means you are writing conclusions. So first you you need to understand what exactly is preface, what exactly is the body, what exactly is the conclusion, and that is going to make the. Many people told me, sir, I wrote about Santhal revolt, but I couldn't get the. I casted all the points. I have given all the. I have enriched my answer, but I'm not getting good marks. Many a times in history, simply because of the wrong priority pressing in the paragraph, you won't get the better marks, dear friends. So what they are looking at, basically, first and foremost demand from the examiner point of view is the critical thinking. Whether the examinee has got the critical thinking or not, what is his vision, whether he is thinking out of the box or simply he is vomiting the general facts. So that makes the difference in the answer. So actually this is the innovative aspect which has not been asked contemporary society. They might ask you the Megasthenes society, or the society described by Kautilya or something like that. Economy and polity also rarely asked segment, but one cannot predict in any exam. Now we move to the second part, which is very prominent and regular question, Pal art. Actually, be it the Mauryan art or the Pal art, both tried to expand the base of Buddhism. As you know that Palas ruled in Bihar and Bengal, and they had their stronghold here. And these Palas, when from Vikramshila University, which was the center to spread Buddhism in Tibet. So definitely in Tibet also you can find the impact, and Southeast Asian nation, the Pala art still exists. So what are the prominent features that we all know? They might ask you one aspect, which features became international, which is features of the Palas, iconography, sculpture, painting. These are quite a common question what they ask. Right, we will also be discussing in the very first, this is the syllabus of the first week, which will spread from 7th January to 10th of January. Dear friends, how it is connected, as you know that be it Somapur, Bihar, be it Vikramshila Bihar or Dantpuri Bihar, everything is connected with Buddhism. In those days, Buddhism was the greatest center of learning. So be it Nalanda University, whatever we have the reminiscence of past as the learning center, basically it is nothing but the learning center in the name of Buddhism only in India. Now, how this Pala art, especially Nalanda, Kurkihar and these centers, Gaya, how they contribute in the Pala art. So these are, and Pala art is very common thing. Anyone can write the, it is not about what you are writing. Suppose if you are writing about a stupa, so simply you will write that this is dome, this is, Toran, this is Vedika, this is, Yasti, this is Chhatri. But that is not what they are looking for. They are looking for why this stupa, how it is connected with the Panch Tattva, why these four gates, are they resembling with the four, noble truths? So we need to bring the critical aspect, critical thinking aspect to enrich our answer, and that is the need of the hour, dear friends. Here again in Pala art, when you are writing something, you should put across why this feature, why this color are vibrant, right? Does this have something to correlate with the economy? Now, Patna Kalam, as you know, it's very prominent feature, and every now and then they ask about Patna Kalam, Kajri Syahi, that is one of the, striking feature of Patna Kalam. As you know that, every year they ask. They might ask you behind the origin, they might ask you behind, generally they ask the features of Patna Kalam. Like actually it was something which could flourish in the absence of photography. Once the photography comes into the light, it is very difficult to, sell out this kind of artistic portrayal. So they are asking you to critically evaluate what would be the reason behind its decline. Right, and what are the distinct feature of the Patna Kalam? Actually, people know about Pahari Kalam, people know about Tangra art of painting, in Pahari style of painting, different kind of Rajput paintings after the decline of the Mughals. But then there is one isolated case which is Patna Kalam, and which comes from Mughal to Bengal to Bihar, and how it came in Machhuatoli area, Macharhatta area, and how it became the spotlight of the Britishers, how important it was and what was its feature, how it portrays the life of that period, particular period, and how it is related to the, that period society. Dear friends, if you go to Mithilanchal area, you will find one wonderful painting, Kohbar art, and different art, especially during the marriages, birthday, and different fest occasions, they celebrate with the means of painting known as the Madhubani art. And you'll find that different caste, like for lower caste, Kaisthas, Brahmanas, different kind of color selection and different things. So in one painting, the entire society and the social structure comes out. How it is related to the society, how it is related to the social discourse, how through the painting you learn about the social pictures of the time. And that is why it is so significant to learn about Madhubani painting. And same is the Manjusa painting, like the story of the snake myths, and how the three snakes and their stories, in a box, particular box, that is known as Manjusa. And that is also from Bhagalpur area, and very popular Manjusa painting that we need to understand. So far Manjusa they have not asked, but they might ask. Madhubani painting or Kohbar painting have been one of the favorite for BPSC. Now the question comes in place, cave and stupa art. Recently you might have seen they have asked about the, Eastern India caves like Bihar, Odisha and others, right? But here the syllabus is Ajanta, Ellora and Bagh, but we will also study about, the Barabar caves. We will also study about the caves of Odisha, because if you observe the previous year paper, you will find that some questions are coming from that Barabar caves and that caves of Orissa as well, and collectively they call it as the caves of eastern India or something like that. Recent past, there is a trend of asking temple art. They have asked about Nagar, they might ask you about Besar or Dravir or whatever, all kind of temple art. They might ask you about, iconography of the temple. They might ask you, if they expand, they can move into that direction as well. Now, Buddhism, Jainism, art and architecture. Actually, if you look at Bihar, three philosophical things, or you can say the academic things, which distinguishes Bihar from rest of the India. It is the mother place of Buddhism, Jainism and Nalanda University. But then how it is related to art and architecture, especially if you look at the Gomo Parasnath hills, there you will find a lot of Jain architecture. And in Patna, in different parts of Bihar, you'll find a lot of, Buddhist art and architecture, because Mauryan, it was the citadel of Mauryan Empire, so it casts its shadow. So this chapter we can see during the Mauryan art itself. Now, one chapter, as we all know that, Dr. Rajendra Prasad from Jirade, as you know that, once they have asked in BPSC, because he was one of the early, visionary who was looking for, when he was in Bengal, he found a kind of Bengali versus Bihari kind of regional fight. And he was the one who, realized, who confronted such kind of situation. So what is his contribution in the making of Bihar as well as in the making of constitution? He was a great freedom fighter, known for his simplicity. Even after independence, twice he remained the president. So what is his contribution? Because he is related to Bihar, that is why they are asking you Dr. Rajendra Prasad. They might ask you the critical evaluation of Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Dear friends, if they ask you about the critical evaluation, always remember, do not write all the points negative. First, you need to explain all the features, all the good features, and then if you point out the limitations, then it will be referred as the critical evaluation. Critical doesn't mean always you have to write the negative points. What is evaluation? Like, one tell word in the answer, they ask evaluation. Dear friends, what is evaluation? Very simple definition. If you want to evaluate a person, simply you just portray the event and remove that person, and then assess what would have been the course of the event, right? And if you remove the person, then only you will understand, if he would not be present in that event, what would have been the course of event. Say for example, if you look at the freedom struggle before Gandhi, you will find it was completely a kind of drawing room politics. Suddenly it transforms into the grassroots politics. How come you deny the role of Gandhi? Definitely this transition, this transformation is attributed to the role of Mr. Gandhi. Dear friends, now in the second week, what we are going to cover up, what we are going to delve deeper into the mains, it's quite a prominent question, this Santhal revolt. In BPSC and UPSC as well, they ask. Last 3-4 years, if you find, this is quite a, this before 1857, it's quite a, favorite question of BPSC and UPSC. Sometimes they ask Santhal or sometimes they ask Birsa. But then what they ask? Reason. Everybody knows the reason. But why some people are getting less marks, some people getting more marks. Actually, if you look at this, revolt, there are many factors attributed to revolt. One could be the economic factor, one could be the cultural factor, one could be the, social factor, one could be, different aspect, political factor, factors related to colonialism, factors related to, indigenous exploitation, different factors are there, right? But then in history, what is the parameter to judge your answer? Dear friends, always remember which, factor you have kept at the upper end. That matters a lot. And, they minutely observe your sequence, whether it looks quite organic or non-organic. If it is organic, it is perfect answer. That means cause and effect should be very consciously, driven. Now, how are you going to write about the nature and consequence? Consequence means what happened, and how, if it would not have happened, what would have occurred in the history of freedom struggle, right? How the tribal revolt is different from the mainstream revolt, right? What is the idea of Diku, and why Diku doesn't means only the Britishes, right? Why Jal, Jungle and Jameen still remains a challenge for the tribals? We need to understand, we need to delve deeper into this question. This is a moot question, and that is why they are asking, because see, this Munda revolt, Santhal revolt and then Munda revolt, almost both happened in the Jharkhand region. One happened in the Rajmahal area and one happened in Ranchi and nearby area, right? But both in Jharkhand area. And generally, what they want from your answer, the real cause and effect, the real priority, that makes some sense. It should not be for the sake of putting the, enriched answer. You're feeding all the facts what you know. That is not required. You write one or two facts, enough. But analytical aspects must dominate in your answer, and that will show the critical thinking within you. Dear friends, another chapter, H, the freedom. Generally, I have seen that they ask about this Indigo revolt in Bengal, then Pavna revolt and Deccan revolt, right? These are the three, Peasant revolts which are very important in 19th century. Already in 18th century, in 19th century, once these are the tribal revolts, and then in 20th century they ask mostly this Champaran, that is Gandhian. This is also Gandhian. Then Darbhanga, Swami Biswanand, against Darbhanga Maharaj. Then Eka in UP and Bakast in Tebhaga in Bengal, and different peasant struggles. These peasant struggle evolved, in the background of a great leader known as Swami Sahajanand Saraswati. He was the man from Bihar, and basically, if you look at, he was the one who seeded the ground for the peasant movement of 20th century. So what is his role? Had he not been the part of, later on his movement got hijacked by the communists, but had he not been the part of the freedom struggle, what would have been the course of the peasant struggle? That is our main discourse. So that is what they are looking at, and Swami Sahajanand may be very, very important aspect for this year question. If you look at the personality this year, I think that even Karpuri Thakur would be very important. Maybe it is not in there prescribed in our syllabus, but I will be covering it up here. Sahajanand Saraswati, will see details. Also, we'd like to see about Rahul Sankrityan. He's a great personality who contributed a lot in the peasant struggle of Bihar. And then this is, sometimes they might ask you permanent settlement, Rayat Bari and Mahal Bari, a general idea you need to understand. They might or might not ask, but that is the part of the mainstream history. This is the commercialization, deindustrialization, rural indebtedness. These are all interconnected things, If you understand the permanent settlement system, you can easily understand what is rural indebtedness and what is the commercialization of agriculture. So it's not a rocket science, but yes, we will be doing it deeper. Now, which is a favorite in BPSC, 1857. And 1857, basically they want mainly to delve deeper into the aspects of Bihar. Because Bihar was one of the greatest centers, as you know that. What Bihar could achieve, even Delhi could not achieve. As you know that within 3 months, Bahadur Shah Zafar was spotted and he was arrested. But here it remained more than 1.5 years and continued for another 2 years. So that is why it is quite a dominant movement, spread by Kunwar Singh. And they might ask you about, we'll also discuss about Peer Ali, which is not here. We'll also discuss about, Krishna Singh, who was the main guard of Amar Singh, Krishna Singh, and main guard Hare Krishna Singh of Kunwar Singh. So some personalities who are very important in Bihar we will be looking at, because mostly they ask about the role of Kunwar Singh. Evaluate the role of Kunwar Singh. That is a favorite question of BPSC. So just imagine, had he not been the part of 1857, what would have been its course? And that we will be looking at in the class. That's a very secret question. Wonderful aspect. So Kunwar Singh himself is one of the greatest personality Bihar had ever produced, because man of 75 plus 80 around, and having rifle against the Britishers. So itself is something which you don't find anywhere in the world. So anyway, we'll be discussing about Kunwar Singh. And then Gandhi and Gandhism. In UPSC it's about Gandhi, in BPSC about Gandhism, more about Gandhism. Here, ideology of truth, non-violence, satyagraha, trusteeship, religion, politics, Sarvodaya society. One thing that is not, sometimes they may ask you Gandhian idea of satyagraha and how it is different from the passive resistance. Passive resistance. They might ask you. It's not about Gandhi. They might ask you about here, it is not there. We'll be discussing there. What is Gandhi's idea on Varna order? So many times question BPSC, Varna order. What is his idea of untouchability? Like what he believes about, what is his, idea on untouchability? How he, believes in Varna order but discards the idea of untouchability, and what is the logic behind? What they might ask you, the Gandhi's idea vis-a-vis Ambedkar's idea on casteism, comparative analysis. So we'll be looking at delving deeper into that idea. How Gandhism is different from Marxism, that may be the questions. Recently, if you look at the questions, in UPSC also they have asked about Gandhian education versus, Tagore's education. Here another thing missing is education also. They might ask you about Gandhian education also. Right, so different aspect. You have to, Gandhi is a sure shot question for BPSC. They might ask you personal satyagraha in Bihar. They might ask you CDM in Bihar. They might ask you Champaran. They might ask you Gandhian philosophy. So one question is sure from Gandhi itself. Yes, a brief idea of constitution, development of constitution from 1773 till 1935 or whatever we have to go through, evolution of constitution. They might ask you, they might not, right? Then, yeah, I have seen some question in BPSC, various, actually there is one most popular idea, that is the safety valve theory. Safety valve theory. Generally they ask about this, and they might ask you the counter theory as well, lightning conductor. So safety valve versus lightning conductor, what it was. And yeah, like moderates contribution, extremist contributions. And nowadays more questions come on moderate, because moderates are not properly evaluated. Now we know that moderates had their own great contribution in the making of the freedom struggle. Rise of nationalism in India, maybe domestic factor, international factor, and whatever maybe. Partition of Bengal, these are all the main course history. One segment that is missing, they might ask you the making of Bihar, and what is the role of SP Sinha, Mr. Sinha, Sachidanand Sinha, SN Sinha. Then Nehru, Gandhi, Nehru, Tagore. These are the most favorite part of BPSC. But in both the areas, they will ask you their vision. Especially in Nehru, what I have seen, secularism is very popular part. Sometimes they ask about the foreign policy, science and technology, maker of freedom India, and then nationalism. What is his idea on nationalism and internet democracy? And sometimes they might ask you about the overall contribution of Jawaharlal Nehru, that is maker of modern India. But this year chances are very less of asking, because now we don't have Congress in the government, so very less chances are there to ask about Nehru. Dear friends, Tagore is very favorite for BPSC exam, what I could find. They ask you about the cultural aspect, they ask you about literary aspect, overall cultural, because see, the canvas of Rabindranath Tagore is quite wide. It starts from literature and it goes to humanism, it goes to internationalism. Even it contradicts the typical nationalism in India. So it has raised a new debate of nationalism versus internationalism. So you need to cover Tagore in a totally new background, and very less they ask. Sometimes they ask what is his contribution in freedom struggle. So it's quite contradictory, because to understand Rabindranath Tagore is quite difficult as compared to Gandhi and Nehru, because there are many contradictions in the poet himself. Then, as you know, that in Freedom India, one of the greatest personality, Dr. Ambedkar, known for his ideas on social justice, Dalit, and women empowerment. Actually, the debate of freedom struggle remains incomplete without the discourse of Ambedkar, because Ambedkar compelled the freedom fighters to think for the freedom, the next level freedom, the second fight for the freedom, second war of independence. So even in the post independent India, the discourse of Ambedkar remains very relevant, and that is why, because it has inspired Lohia, it has inspired even Jayaprakash Narayan. So we need to integrate Ambedkar, it has inspired Karpuri Thakur as well. So we need to we need to delve deeper into these personalities when talking about the social kind of revolution in India. Now Lohia, as you know that the greatest Lohiite in Bihar was Karpuri Thakur, and once they have already asked about Lohia and Sapt Kranti, 7 revolution. social, educational, political, economic, all sort of kranti. Lohia didn't believe in casteism. He wanted to remove casteism. He didn't believe in corruption. He wanted to weed out the corruption. He wanted, see, he was in Freedom India. He had his own discourse, He was completely a disillusioned personality, Lohia and Jayaprakash Narayan. So, we need to delve deeper into Ram Manohar Lohia, and they might ask you his vision. It's not about the Sapt Kranti only, there are many new aspects also I'll be telling about Ram Manohar Lohia. And now, a normal history of, Rowlatt Satyagraha, Khilafat, Asahayog, Andolan and all, that will go in the last week. This is the topic of the last week, my dear friend. Always remember, Nehru Report, Simon Commission, these are all, the normal course of history what we study about, right? The Gandhian movement, phase 2, civil disobedience, and how it is different from the first phase movement under the Gandhi. And a special mention of Azad Dasta, we need to look at the philosophy behind Azad Dasta of Jayaprakash Narayan in deeper, remember, because once they have asked short notes, they might ask you, a big question as well. So we need to prepare this topic in elaboration. Especially, they might ask you Jayaprakash Narayan in details, right? And then Azad Hind Fauj and Naval, this is the main course history, that is also very Royal Indian Navy revolt, very popular revolt, right? Then role of different classes, especially Dalit and women in Bihar national movement, right? That we have to see, it should be the legacy from the whatever main course event happened, NCM, CDM, whatever movement happened, and what was the role of Jagjeevan Ram, Karpuri Thakur and Jaglal Chaudhary and different leaders, and how they attributed to the struggle that we need to look at. And then rise and growth of communalism, very less chance of asking this year, because Jinnah's 14 point, this may be the one of the vital, they might ask you what is the reason behind this two nation theory and all. As you know that when the Nehru report came, Jinnah was the greatest obstacle because he has placed 14 point, and how gradually Jinnah moved into the communal block, that we need to delve deeper. Now, already after 35, there is a kind of development towards the constitution, Cripps mission, August proposal, Webel. Sometimes they might ask you small questions on Mountbatten plan, and then this is a very favorite aspect, a spread of modern education. Very important, because I have seen many questions related to this modern and especially scientific education in Bihar, technical education in Bihar, different time period, and then Bihar, they might ask you. There is quite favorite in BPSC. Yeah, development of technical and Western education. One aspect that is missing, development of press in Bihar also, they might ask you, because I have seen press also, press and journal. So that also we will be discussing in the class. Then socio-religious reform movement, and they have not asked much, but they might ask if it comes to, if it is concerned to Bihar. Then revolutionary movement, that is also a mainstream movement. Then revolutionary movement in Bihar, that is very, very important. And that start from all the, the like this Sahajanand Saraswati, Rahul Sankritan and all others. They all are the part of revolutionary movement, Karpuri Thakur also. And then how this, formation of independent Bihar. Also one aspect is missing here, I'll be discussing about, migration from Bihar. Many people, they settled in Fiji, Mauritius, and what would have been the factor behind their migration, external migration, that I'll be discussing in the class, which is not the part of this syllabus. And then Jayaprakash Narayan, all the socio-economic ideology and concept of Sarvodaya. So, dear friends, Here we have the prescribed syllabus, and you will get the complete study material on the line of this syllabus. Besides this, there are many missing links that I'll try to cover up in the class, and this is how Eduteria will cover our main series in all the segments. Thank you very much.